Today in this video we are going to study about the absolute extrema, and we all know that by the term extrema means the maximum or the minimum values. So we are going to study about the absolute maximum and absolute minimum in closed interval. Absolute extrema is also termed as global extrema. So what is actually absolute extrema? Absolute extrema is the highest or the least point in the graph. So let's have a look at the graph. We already know that we always read the graph from left to right. So here if we observe, this is the highest point of the graph, so we termed it as absolute maximum, whereas the least point of the graph is absolute minimum. Now in previous videos we also know that the turning points are also termed as relative maximum or relative minimum. So although it is absolute maximum, but another name, or because due to the turning point, it is also called relative maximum. In same way, this is also the turning point, although it is a absolute minimum also. So this is also a relative minimum. Here now observe another graph. In this graph, where is the absolute maximum? It means where is the highest point of the graph. So the highest point of the graph in this function is this point. So this is absolute maximum as it is the highest point, whereas this is the absolute minimum as it is the least point of the graph. Now this point is at the end of the graph, so it is not a turning, hence it is not a relative maximum or minimum. Whereas absolute minimum, here we found it, absolute minimum we find at the turning point, so this is also known as relative minimum. So by observing these two graphs, we can say that absolute maximum or absolute minimum can be found in between the graphs, or they can be at the end of the graph. Whereas relative maximum or relative minimum are always be the turning points. They cannot be at the end of the points.